Sega's Blue Blur is set to return not in the form of a new release, but rather a remaster for one of the franchise's most beloved entries. Sonic X Shadow Generations features the same mix of classic and modern levels featured in 2011, only now with an all-new additional campaign that sees Shadow the Hedgehog take center stage ahead of his appearance in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 later this year. To find out more about how Sega and Sonic Team sought to give the original Sonic generations a shadow-coated upgrade, we spoke to legendary producer Takashi Iizuka about how the remaster celebrates the year of Shadow.
When Sonic Colors Ultimate was released, it was a remake of the old Sonic Colors, but kind of for the new platform. So people who couldn't play it on the current generation consoles, they now could. And when we released it, we heard a lot of the fans say they really wanted to play Generations. They wanted a remaster of Generations. And so, we didn't want to just do the same thing with Sonic Generations, but we did kind of put that in our heads as an idea of, all right, people really, really want Generations. We'll put that on the back burner and just kind of wait until we can find a good time to remaster it and release it to people. And it just so happened at the end of movie 2, we see the big reveal of Shadow. The fans went crazy, and we knew movie 3 was going to feature Shadow and really put a spotlight on the character. And it was at that point that that idea of remastering Sonic Generations really came back into our heads, and we thought, you know what? Let's not just remaster Sonic Generations, but we have Shadow that's going to be spotlit in movie 3. We should add new content and bring Shadow into the mix, so we have not only Sonic Generations, but we also have Shadow Generations. And that's kind of the whole idea. That's the start of the concept for Sonic X Shadow Generations.
Sonic Generations の方は
As you know, we didn't really have to change all that much. It was already a really high quality game. The gameplay was really tight, and the look of the game was really, really good. So all the team really needed to do was put a little tuning on the graphical quality to get it to be something that looks, even amazing on the current generation hardware. But what the team really wanted to do, and this is something they wanted to do back when it originally released, was to get the game running at 60 frames per second.
元々のソニックジェネレーションズのホワイトスペース
Sonic Generations had a white space that was, really kind of very direct in that you could run around and you'd see green hill zone. And from the white space, you would select that state, and then you'd go in and play. Or maybe it was chemical plant that you'd find. It was really kind of a playable stage select kind of area in a 2D side-scrolling format. But the team wanted to kind of take that to the next level, and instead of having a 2D space, have a 3D space where you get to run around, explore, and find the new places to enter the different zones and acts. And they kind of took inspiration from Sonic Frontiers, which applied the open zone game format to a whole Sonic game, but they wanted to take that and apply that open zone kind of idea to the white space. So you had this 3D space you could run around and play around in. You had different zones you could choose to enter in from the white space. That was what they wanted to do with the Shadow Generations white space area.
まず今回ジェネレーションズの中に
When we decided to put Shadow into into the Generations format, we knew we needed to include Chaos Control because that's a unique ability that only Shadow can do, and it allows us to stop time and create levels where Shadow is going to stop time, use Chaos Control to stop time, and now we can do platform action elements throughout his gameplay. And so that really was the beginning of, putting Shadow in there and how to really make the Shadow levels different from the modern Sonic, the classic Sonic gameplay. And because we do have modern Sonic in there, classic Sonic in there, and Shadow as well. And if it's just Chaos Control, it's not going to be different enough. We needed to differentiate the Shadow gameplay even further and really make it something unique, putting it all in one package so the modern gameplay, the classic gameplay, and then the Shadow gameplay would all feel unique and special. And that's where the Doom Power kind of idea got thought up, is we can use the Doom Powers to give Shadow new abilities, have him do different things. Doom Spears, which you played in the game, was one of those ways we can use Shadow, have him do unique actions, and then use that to create the gameplay and the level design. What you saw in the trailer, with the wings that Shadow has, that's another Doom power, and it really allows us to expand upon what he can do in the game and how he's different from modern Sonic, classic Sonic. We have lots of other Doom powers that we'll be getting into later, and it really kind of expands on the things we can do, the levels we can create, and the fun that you get to play with Shadow in Shadow Generation side.
はい、
Black Doom was the last boss in the 2005 Shadow the Hedgehog game that, Shadow defeats, and that's kind of the end of Black Doom. But as we know from Generations, the time meter has come. This is the same for Sonic Generations, and Shadow Generations, the same thing happens. Time meter comes, kind of takes away all of the time and the space. Everyone's in this limbo white space area. And we kind of go through the legendary moments, the important times for the characters, not only for Sonic, but for Shadow as well. And so we do see the defeated Black Doom does make an appearance back in Shadow Generations. Now, I don't want to get too much into the story. I don't want to spoil it for people. But, having this rivalry and this kind of Shadow versus Black Doom happen again in Shadow Generations should be something really interesting.